No. Well, hello, everyone. I'm sure excited to see my guest. All right, this is Kristen. It is Wine and Whatever Wednesday. We are live. Oh, there's John. I was joking that I was having an empty guest today, but we are live, and I have something still in my eye, but that's okay. But I'm also wearing my hat because it is St. Patty's Day, and apparently you're in a green shirt.
Apparently, it doesn't really look like it's very green, so I'm sorry. It's the best I can do.
I'm too far away to pinch you, so you're okay, but I'm also in my St. Patty's Day pants, so nobody can pinch me, but I'll take the hat off in a second. But anyways, welcome everybody who's joining us. Again, I'm Kristen. I am with Papapietro Perry Winery, and I've got John Bucher with us today, who, if you are a Pinot fan, I know you've heard the name Bucher because you guys make your own wine and you sell grapes to a lot of other wineries, us included. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but first I want to say, I don't know if you can say happy anniversary, but it is 1 year since COVID shut it all down. We're still all coming back, but my God, what a year it's been, right? Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm just cheers in with everything. Oh, Slin Chow means Slan Chow means cheers or let me have a sip of wine.
What a year it's been. Oh, crazy.
What a year.
What a year.
I feel better. Oh, and those are both the Pommards, very different. Alrighty, so we've been turning everything into virtual. We've been doing these for next month will actually be a year since we've been doing these lives and whatnot on Facebook, which is awesome. And I am so glad you are here to join us. So Bucher is the first fruit we pull in every year. You guys are a little bit over by the winery, right? A little bit behind, over the mountain, through the woods. I can see it.
Our vineyard is about 5 miles outside of Healdsburg on West Side Road. So we have our neighbors we have the McCrosty tasting room is just to the north of us, and then Rocchioli's are about a mile south of us. Like the Baccalupis are right next door, right north of us too. So we've got a good neighborhood. Yeah, they're great people.
Very good company. Yeah. We've been working with you guys for a while. So let's see. So you are a grape grower, but you're also a dairy farmer.
Yes.
Give me a little history.
Yeah. Well, so my parents purchased the property in the late 50s. We've been there actually for over 60 years. And then when I graduated from Davis, they worked in the Bay Area, odd jobs, immigrated from Switzerland. My dad came over first, my mom a couple years later, and they worked different jobs, some in ag, some not. My dad was a handyman in San Francisco and for a while, and my mom was an au pair. Then they saved their money and found this property, and they started milking. They had 50 cows when they started milking cows here. And
how many cows do you have now?
We have 700 cows that we milk twice a day, and we sell our milk to Clover Sonoma. Gonna plug Clover.
I think they're in our refrigerator, so thank you.
Yeah. So and so we back in the there's a lot of changes happening in the dairy industry back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's when I talked to my folks about diversifying into wine grapes, and so we did it slowly. We started with 5 acres and have grown the vineyard to 40 acres. And we also lease a couple of properties north of us for a total of 65 acres that we farm, mainly Pinot Noir, but also Chardonnay and Sauv Blanc and Zinfandel.
And how many acres do you have total?
The ranch that my parents purchased was 360 acres and still 360 acres today.
Okay, so 360 acres, 65 are planted to vines. How many tons from 65 acres? Oh, how many tons from 65 acres?
Yeah, you figure about 3 tons, 3 times, about 180, 200.
I was like 3 tons for 65 acres. That I don't believe is a lot.
Per acre. Per acre. So it's about 180 to 200 tons of fruit. Is that what we produce? So
just have a drink.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we drinking? We're having fun today. We have Papapietro Perry's 2018 Pommard clones and the Papapietro Perry 2018 7-7 clones, because we pull our Pommard from your property and we also pull the 777. No.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, we do. your first grapes. So we get both from your property. So we thought that'd be fun. But you also make a Pommard. And what is the reason you decided to jump on the Pommard?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Papapietro Perry and their Pommard clone was an inspiration for us. The Pommard clone for us, we're in that, as you said, we are fairly early with harvest. We usually harvest the third week of August, and we've gravitated towards the Pommard clone in our 16 different blocks of Pinot Noir here on the home ranch. And so of those 16 blocks, 5 are Pommard clone. It's just worked really well for us. It's pretty much drives our vineyard. So when we were doing our blends with our winemaker, Adam Lee, and my wife, Diane, we were playing around with it because we were at that time, I think 2014 was the first year we did a Pommard clone. We were tasting through I think we had at that time 4 of the 5 sites that we had barrel samples of, and we started tasting them. We were just noticing how distinctive each one was, and I turned over to Adam and said, what about just blending these and seeing what we come up with? And so we play around with it, and so you're blending these individual sites, and then you're tasting the individual sites, and they all are different locations. We talked about that with Pinot. It's one of the coolest things about Pinot Noir, and then you blend them in different amounts and different some of the sites, and then you come up with something different again. Totally different. And it's just awesome, and it's all on the same vineyard. So it's a take on what Papapietro Perry does, where you source Pommard from, is it 3 or 4? 3? 3 different. Yeah. 5. You 7, 4, 5.
Pommard is 3. Ben's on. Ben will correct me if I'm incorrect.
So yeah. So that's where the difference. So you're blending from 3 different distinct sites in the Russian River Valley, where we're blending from the same different sites, but in the same vineyard. So
interesting. Well, yeah. And I believe, if I'm correct, and Ben is on right now, so Ben can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when we were making our blends, they were both, Ben and Bruce were both drinking the Pommard from 2 different areas. And Bruce said, hey, I wonder, blended them together in the glass, and they both said, holy, that was amazing. Yeah, Ben, three vineyards for Pommard, and I think it's 4 to 5 for 777. Thank you. Yeah. Ben is never far. And Ben also said Bruce was a neighbor of yours, John. That's how we connected. But Bruce was actually a neighbor of your wife's.
Correct. That's how that was the original connection with us selling fruit to Papapietro Perry. My wife Diane moved up to after her divorce, moved from San Francisco up to Healdsburg, purchased a house in Healdsburg, and this is in 2001. And she ran into a gentleman that was visiting his parents across the street, and his name is Bruce. And he said, oh yeah, Diane said, yeah, I'm new to the neighborhood, blah blah blah. And Bruce said, here's a bottle of wine from our vineyard. He handed her a Shiner. It wasn't even bottled yet. I think you guys were just starting out, and so she told me that story when we started dating in 2005, and so I go, yeah, that's a great winery. And she's, and so at the time I didn't have any fruit available, but we definitely were. I kept that little bit of information in the back of my head, and Diane kept saying, oh, you gotta talk. Bruce would love to talk to you. I go, yeah, I'd love to talk to him too. So as it turned out, we ended up connecting myself with Bruce and Ben, and I think we sold our first grapes to you folks in 2010, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, and I know it's a Shiner. For those of you who don't know, that is a bottle of wine with 0 label on it. And because we silk screen all of our bottles, we actually order extra glass with nothing on it. And so you might see the staff drinking these bottles of wine that don't have labels.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't need to necessarily know what it is sometimes, and we don't care because it's all delicious. My favorite Papapietro Perry wine is the one in my glass. It's the one I always say. But I have Papapietro Perry's 2018 Pommard here, and I am lucky enough to have some of your 2018 Pommard here. And cheers to myself.
Yes, I'm doing the same. Let me see if I can. There you go.
Whichever way they go. Oh, you got the two as well. I love it. This is called St. Patty's Day.
Yes. Well, this is what's really fun about when you can taste wines from different wineries from the same vineyard, or they're doing something similar, like a Pommard clone. It's like, oh, that'd be cool to taste what they're doing, or just following single vineyard wines from winery to winery. And it's a lot of fun to compare what the winemakers are doing and the different sites that are available. And really, it gives you an opportunity, if you're a Pinot geek like most of us are here, it lets you dive down a little deeper into learning about Pinot Noir and the different vineyards out in this area.
Well, with the winemaker influence too, because Mother Nature is Mother Nature. She takes care of the blocks relatively the same. And so when you get that winemaker influence, I think that's fascinating to find. And Ben's big idea with his wine style is really letting those vineyards come out. So we do a very similar yeast program, barrel program. We do the same thing when the grapes come in. He really wants those vineyards and what Mother Nature does there to shine through. And yours is just as delicious. They're both fantastic. Pommard's one of my favorite in our lineup, so I'm super not upset today. But I want to go back for a second with your. So lucky enough to go to dinner with John and his wife the other night, and so I got to pick their brain ahead of a time. I've met you guys multiple times before. We've just, life is busy. We've never been able to sit down and chat, so that was fun. But one of the things that I thought was neat, you were saying how you grew up on the dairy farm. You went away to UC Davis to become a vet.
That was that was the big plan. I loved being around animals. I was the kid here at the farm was great growing up. I mean, I was the kid that would find the bird with a broken wing and bring it home, and lizards and whatever. My mom was running out of shoe boxes. I've always loved animals. In fact, when a few years ago, I had to find some pictures of somebody wanted to do a historical interview or whatever, and they wanted some historical pictures. And I swear, I was looking through these old pictures of me growing up on the farm, and every one of them had an animal in it. There was either a cat, a dog, a cow, a calf. It's just who I am and who I was growing up. So I remember driving by UC Davis when I was a kid, and someone in the car mentioned there's a vet school there, and I was sold. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and that's where I was going to go to school. So I ended up going undergrad there, majoring in animal science and ag economics. But my dad, he approached me my junior year of college and said, look, I would want to know if you have any interest, because I'm getting tired. I don't know much longer I can do this. And if you're interested, let's talk. And so I, unbeknownst to him, I was thinking to myself, after 3 years of a UC undergrad program that is animal science, there's a lot of science there, and it's hard. And I was getting to the point where I couldn't picture myself in school another 4 years. And so my dad loved being on the tractors more than the cows. And he said, look, John, you come home, you manage the cows, you take care of the animals. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. And it's been a blast.
Well, when you grow up with it too, you kind of innately start understanding some of those things that other people may be learning in actual class or whatnot. All right, so you moved back home, and then you were saying earlier that the world kind of was changing a little bit here and there, and you have all these milk cows. So you did kind of look into possibly becoming a cheesemonger and doing some cheese for a hot.
Yep, we looked at vertically integrating into making some cheese, and but at the end of the day, it made more sense. This was we're going back in the early 90s, early like 92, 93, 94, and it became pretty clear to me that For me, I was the one managing everything myself. My parents were heading towards retirement. I didn't have siblings interested. It was for me to manage everything. It was going to make more sense to plant or to diversify into another crop, so to speak. So obviously this area was known for we knew even then it was, even though Pinot wasn't as popular, it was known as Russian River Valley, very similar to Burgundy. So it was either going to be Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, and I started out with Pinot Noir, and then since then we planted a little bit of Chardonnay too.
Well, and as a mutual friend of ours described, which I thought was perfect, you kind of sit on the boardwalk and park place of property in the Russian River Valley. And so with this cattle farm, and so it kind of made sense to take a look at this land and go, wait, hold on a second. What about doing some grapes here? As you mentioned, there's vineyard management out there. You're surrounded in this atmosphere of wine too. So why not do it?
Yeah. And it worked out really well. I had, there were a lot of local resources as far as, working with vineyard management companies I took a short course in viticulture and enology up at Davis. But, I really learned, I learned from neighbors. I learned from just doing it. And essentially it's still agriculture. It's still farming, and so the transition was, there was a steep learning curve in the beginning, and I relied on others helping me, and I worked with Tri-Valley Vineyard Management the first few years, and Bill Koch, Mike Villutini, they were a big help to me, just learning. They helped plant the first vineyards, and so, but after a few seasons, and it's a little different. The timeline's different with livestock. You work with livestock every day. They have to be either milked, fed, taken care of, and the timeline's different with the vineyard. My most often asked question is, what do you like more? What do you like better? I actually enjoy both because it's a different challenge. And with grapes, you really have to take good notes, and you really have to have a good memory, and you really need to focus on the weather more. We were talking earlier when we got on about this is frost season right now. It was really cold this morning, one of the coldest days we've had this year. You really have to understand the weather, the soil, and be really in tune to what's going on. And things happen on an annual cycle versus daily. I mean, right. There are some things that happen daily, but it's really more of an annual cycle. So it's really fun. It's a different challenge, and I really enjoy it.
Well, I haven't been to your property, but I'm going to lie and say I've been to your property. And one thing I noticed, because I'm such an agricultural in my bones, is you could have done a great job with raspberries. You could have been what is it called? The Raspberry King of Sonoma County.
Yeah.
I'd rather have this than raspberries in a smoothie, but you were going to try to do raspberries at one time, right?
I played around with, like I said, I looked into diversifying into cheese or vertically integrating into cheese, doing a specialty cheese. I took a couple of acres, and we planted raspberries. I had red raspberries. I had some golden raspberries. Have you ever heard of golden raspberries? I also planted boysenberries and tayberries. I can
taste them all in the wine.
What's that?
I can taste all of those things in the wine.
Well,
that is not how you get flavors in wine. I'm joking.
Well, I mean, but to that point, when you're tasting through, we're Middle Reach, Russian River Valley, the warmer part of the Russian River Valley. The wines get riper. You get more of that red fruit, ripe flavors, cherry. There's a lot of cherry, raspberry. You can get some strawberry. In the 777, I pick up strawberry a lot in the 777 clone. A lot of the red fruits really come out, and it's really, that's what, again, growing grapes and now making wine. It's just fascinating to be, at least for me, still. Every year's a little different, and we could be down tasting, doing barrel samples out the winery, and I can taste it, and then I can remember what we did that year. I know the site, and it gives you this real connection And it's something that's just, it's amazing. And it's so fun to open a bottle a few years later and taste it again and see how it's aging and how it's even developing some more integration and more layers and complexity. And it's really fascinating.
Does it transport you back to that vintage?
It
when
does.
You're tasting it,
yes.
You're kind of going 18, oh, remember that one day?
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I know for us, when our members are back home tasting their wine, they remember a lot of times their visits to the winery, their visits to the valley, and this kind of brings all that back out. We live here, so this reminds me of yesterday.
Yeah. No, in fact, the 18 vintage, it was a really challenging vintage, just similar to this, where we've got these really cold mornings. We had a crazy frost spell we had the February of 18 for us was like spring-like weather the first half of the year, and then we had frost. So we had severe. We were out every morning for frost protection, like 2 weeks straight, and I mean really cold. It was down in not cold if you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin, but for us it was in the Southerners. Yeah, but it was freezing temperatures, which is pretty unusual for us here. February, it can either be springtime or winter for us is rain, and to get that 2 weeks of real heavy frost and cold weather, it was crazy. And so I remember that from that year. So when I taste the wines, we had a little bit of frost damage in some of the blocks, and so when I taste the wines, I pick that up. I pick up the fact that it was a really nice. After that, it was a beautiful growing season. It's a lot of fun to do that and to remember, and I that's exactly what I do. I taste the vintage when I open the bottle of wine.
Oh, that's a great tagline. Come taste the vintage.
Let me write that down.
I'm stealing it. This is our show, John. No, I'm kidding. 2 questions for you. Have you ever heard of a black raspberry? That question is for Ben. And number 2, what do you do for frost?
Well, first question, yes, I've heard of a black raspberry. There was I actually was trying to find, when I was growing raspberries, I was actually trying to find some black raspberries, but there is actually black raspberries.
Okay.
Now there is not that I know of, there's not a blue raspberry like you see at 7-Eleven, like a 7-Eleven slushie. No,
what?
There's no blue.
It's not natural.
No, it's not. Just want to share that. But the black raspberry it's really cool. And that's where, sometimes you'll go into a site and you'll pick up darker fruits. We talked about the red fruit driven, and then other times you'll get into some sites that have a darker fruit profile, like plum or blackberry, brambleberry, and black raspberry. You can black cherry. Yeah.
I need to find black raspberries now. Yeah. We keep adding them to our tasting notes, and we didn't think they really existed.
And then the second question.
How do you deal with frost?
Great question. There's multiple ways you can deal with them, but the most common around here are wind fans, big fans that basically move the air. What happens when if you have a really clear, still evening, that's when the temperature drops. And the temperature drops more in valleys closer to the river. Like if you think of the vineyards down closer to the river, that's a lower elevation. You're going to have more, or just a valley somewhere between a couple of hills. That's where we're on the hillside, west side of West Side Road, towards on the west of the river. But if we have undulating hills, and that's where we have need our frost protection in those valleys, those little pockets where the vines might be. And so we use wind and we use water. We use small micro sprinklers that send a mist out. And the beauty of those misters or micro sprinklers, not really a mist, but it just shows basically really efficient with the water usage. But the key to those, they have very small openings, orifices where the water comes out. And if you don't get those sprinklers on in time, it'll freeze up. So we have our alarm set at 35 degrees. I actually have a weather station in one of those coldest spots in the vineyard, and it's programmed to when it drops, when it hits 34.9, I get a phone call on my phone, and so does my my foreman Juan. So then we communicate.
Do you have to turn it on, or does it go on automatically?
What's that?
Do you have to go and turn it on, or you're just being alerted that that is now going on?
No, it's going on. No, we have to go and physically turn that on, because we also, besides the micro sprinklers, we're also using fans. So we need to start the tractors. Ours are tractor driven fans and the micro sprinklers. And so at 35 degrees, we turn them on, and like right now we just had daylight savings time. So now it's darker later, which makes it even more challenging with frost protection, because it stays darker later and it stays colder later. So
but I do have a dumb question. A tractor driven fan, does that mean you drive around the vineyard on the tractor with the fan?
No, it's a stationary fan, but it's connected to the power takeoff on the fan. So it's versus an independent motor that runs it, because we only need that fan for a couple of weeks out of the year. So we use some of the tractors that vineyard tractors that we're not using out in the vineyard, and we connect them to the fans. And that
makes sense. About heating pods, Ron is saying, he has seen heating pods. Do you ever use those?
Yes, you can use those. Also, those are pretty common in Europe. The challenge with those is you have to even start earlier with those, because it takes a long time to light. If we have a 40 acre vineyard, that's a lot of heat pods to light. You have to basically, you got to have a whole crew of people doing that to get it done. And for me, it's just Juan and I. There's two people that take care of all the frost sprinklers and the tractors. So,
right, so my assumption, listening to the water misting, and I'm curious about this, my assumption, because of my ag background, would be that once you pop water out and it's frost or freezing, the water would freeze and then freeze on the vines. Is that what do sprinklers do? Is that what they do? That's
exactly what happens. So there's two things that water can. The wind will move the air to just, if you have a windy day and it's cold, you're not going to have frost damage, because the air is moving and it's actually not dropping into that that low dew point where you actually things freeze. So with the water, you get the water going early, and then you're basically simulating rain. And usually the ambient temperature warms up. So, but then there's a second part to it, though. If it does get super cold, where it drops below 2 degrees, like we had in 2018, I was talking about the last 2 weeks of February, then you'll actually get the water will freeze, and it will encapsulate the little green leaf tissue on the bud, and it'll protect it. It's like the Eskimos, being in the igloo. It's actually a way of staying. It actually stays warm inside of that, and it protects the little buds. Yeah.
Okay. And we are in bud break right now, so I'm actually going to pop a couple pictures that were taken yesterday, because bud break is a big deal around here. Of course, that's the kind of, in my mind, the official start of the season, right? This is your first look at the 2021 vintage. But boom, look how cute they are.
Yep, that's the raspberry block. That's the Pommard clone from the raspberry block. Those vines were planted in 1998. They're 23 years old, and
they look great for their age.
Yeah, they've got some age on there. It's a great block, and that's where in the early 90s, that's where I planted raspberries. That's why it's called the raspberry block. We have names for all of our blocks. I don't do numbers and letters. I do names.
Oh, they're boring. Okay, what block is this?
This is Rock Ridge. There was a big rock outcrop up on the higher part of this block, and so that's how it got its name, Rock Ridge.
There was a big rock on the ridge?
Yep.
Oh, that makes sense. And of course, we have this one because you're amazing at what you do. So you're outstanding in your field, right? You're fantastic. So here you are, outstanding in your field.
I'm outstanding in my field. There you go. That's That's at the Rock Ridge block there too. Looking. Actually, I think that's St. Helena in the background. So we have a killer view. I think St. Helena is behind my big head. But
that was literally yesterday. Look at that gorgeous weather. And by the way, we are open. Come visit and see that for yourself. It's absolutely beautiful. No, it's so much fun. Well, we have to drink our 777 as well. We're at 30 minutes, but I'm going to go a little bit longer because I've got a little bit more to say. But I also want to pour some 777 because we also get that for you. Ron is saying, when I go to Sonoma, I always visit Papapietro Perry for wine tasting. Is it possible to also visit Peter's Vineyard and some of your other sources? Yes, Ian, no. Ron, shoot me an email, and we can definitely work something out with everything. Of course. Maybe a new event we create, Dan is saying. But I'm going to go to my next one. I know we should be drinking green wine, but trust me, I've added green food coloring to this, so I'm absolutely kidding about that. But the 777 is obviously another one of our fan favorites with our wines. We do get some of the 777 from you as well. 777 Pommard, both Dijon clones with the wines. But 777 is also, for those of you who have not tuned in before, we made our Pommard clones first. Ben was traveling in Vegas, hit 777. 2 separate jackpots, said, oh my gosh, it's Kismet, I must make a 777. That's where it's special in our family. John, 777 has some special significance to you as well. Am I correct? Oh, Ron added extra 777 and Pomard to his shipment that arrived today. Ron got 3 cases of wine today. Well done, Ron. You're stocked up through the end of the month for sure.
We like Ron.
777 means what's that?
I said we like Ron. 3 cases.
Ron is great, and he was doing dishes and cooking corned beef and cabbage. I mean, perfect man as far as I'm concerned. Awesome. Well done, Ron.
So first of all, I got to say that your Pomard is just awesome. And wasn't it the 18 or 17 that won a really big award?
17 won best red, best of everything for the Press Democrat. Yes. And so unfortunately, we're completely sold out of that. Oh, Hannah's on. Oh, shoot. Hannah, I forgot. She said, hi, Dad. And I'm going to get to 777 in a second, but a month or 2 ago, I was out wine tasting in the other valley. I shall not mention the name. And we walked into this tasting room, and this cute girl comes up to us, and she's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. And it was your daughter, who I had not met before, and she was so cute. She took such incredible good care of us. And Jennifer, do we need to plan to visit Ron's? Yeah, Jen, but he lives up in New Jersey. It's my sister. About 777, why find this picture of Hannah?
So not only is the Pomard's great, but for us, the story, our family's story with the 777 is when I started dating Diane in 2005, or I think we got engaged at the end of 2006, and we started talking about wedding dates. And I was looking at we were looking at the calendar in the summer. I said, oh, it can't be during harvest, can't be there. She's, she had no idea what she was getting into marrying a farmer. So there's this like really short window. It's like, July, there's not a lot happening in July. We're kind of wrapped up with spring. The cows go every day, twice a day. And so I said, what about July? And there was a Saturday this is 2007. We got engaged in December of 2006. And so in July, it really started out, we focused on July because that was the best time schedule wise. And then there was a Saturday, it was July 7th, 2007. So I thought, oh my God, this is so cool. A 777. I turned to Diane, I go, let's do that. Let's pick that date. And she goes, I don't know. I go, Diane, it's a great Pinot clone. That's why we got to get married. I literally told her that. I swear.
Well, so it makes it easy to remember, correct?
Exactly. Well, that was where I didn't tell her that, but that's what I was thinking in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, yeah,
I can't get it wrong.
777. I can remember that when we get married. So yeah.
Well, you know what would have happened if you had gotten married on the 8th? You would have mentally just celebrated on the 7th, going, I swear it's right around here. I can't find my picture of you, but you were so cute and you took such great care of us. That was we were talking about you the other night at dinner. If your ears were burning as well. Oh, if you had gotten married on July 11th, you could have gotten a free Slurpee. You could have had free Slurpees for everybody.
Yeah.
You get a free Slurpee if you go.
We could have got that blue, the blue raspberry.
You could have had that blue. You stole it. You're right. You could have had that blue raspberry Slurpee. Yeah, exactly. I'd still be married if that was the case. But yes, Ben is reminding me in the Florida Fine Wine Competition, the 16 Pommard got Best of Show. The 17 777 won the North Coast Wine Challenge Best Red. Pommard and 777 are delicious and amazing. We've got our fans out there, no doubt about it. One thing I want to bring up that I thought was so much fun. So again, we went to dinner the other night and talking with you and everybody else around the table. You were so much fun to listen to because you're chatting about college and this and that. And everybody's connected. Sonoma is a small valley. Napa is a small valley. Wine country is a small valley. Everything is small and so incestuous. Everyone knows each other, has heard of each other. And you're chatting, and the names you were bringing up are all these big, Rocchioli, Martinelli, all these big names in the wine business. Yeah, William Salem, Costa Brown. And it's synonymous with quality. The people you know some good people, I guess. Everything's synonymous with quality. Everyone gets along, and that is one of the coolest things. You have all these generational connections, these high school, these college, and you guys all come back to the valley, and you guys, no offense, right? You really weren't anybody's prior. Now you've got these great grapes you grow, and you've got these great wineries you work with, and everyone's got these. It's such an amazing world, and everybody works together, and this competition isn't a competition. It's really a what's it called?
It's a sharing of ideas.
It is.
It's a sharing of ideas.
And we work together. And even our waiter, Walker, if I'm correct, his name was Walker.
Yes.
At dinner at Dry Creek Kitchen, went to school at St. John's Catholic School with your kids. Right. And so he knew you guys. You knew his parents. They make wine. And how funny, we're all together at the restaurant. He's taking care of us. It was so much fun. And that is one of my favorite things about this valley is that everyone works together and gets along and enjoys, and we all support each other. It's amazing. No other business is like that.
No, I'm growing up. I think agriculture does that. I think folks in agriculture really, they're willing to help each other. I saw it growing up with my dad, inviting, other dairymen would pull in and he'd show them, the latest thing we've got or we're trying or doing. My dad would take farm tours to with another group of dairymen, go visit other states even and other places and bring back ideas. He loved that, and it is a sharing of ideas, and there's a camaraderie with that, and I see that in grape growing. I was pointing that out with Dan yesterday when I was touring through the vineyard with him, and we were experimenting with some different trellis systems, and Bob Cabral, who was the winemaker at Williams-Sonoma, where we sell to at that time, I was talking to him. We came up with some ideas, and then he sent people to me that look at what we did, and it's like, sure, come over and take a look, and it's not like it's some industry secret. If we're working on something or doing something and it works, I'm happy to share that, because I can also share all the stuff that didn't work. But that's and that's where it's good. It's just there's a real camaraderie, and I see it too now when we make our wines down at Grand Cru Crush in Windsor, and there's I think 16 different wineries, and there's a sharing of ideas there too, and everyone's there to help each other out. And you guys have it in your winery too. I love working with Ben, love working with David. I don't know if Tyson's still there, but Tyson
is the one with the black raspberry that we were hoping to get.
But you guys have a great crew, and it's been a pleasure working with everyone at Papapietro Perry, and it's it's a pleasure getting to know the hospitality staff too, because you have a great group, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
We do, and I know Papapietros and Perry's both hold you in the highest esteem. Other people I know, you've got a great name out there, and again, I cannot stress how much I enjoyed having dinner with you and your wife. Your wife's currently in Atlanta on a auction fancy thing with wine and stuff else. She would have been here, but no, they have great respect for you. I've only heard great things, so little intimidated to meet you guys. You guys had big shoes to fill, but it was fun and easy. This has been great, and it's everyone's down to earth. That's what I like too.
Well, and that's so interesting, Kristen, because I mean, you're saying how many the different people we know and everything, and I still think of myself as this kid who wants to go rescue a bird or pet a cat, and I've had the honor and pleasure of working with some fantastic winemakers. We talk about pinching ourselves on St. Patrick's Day. I got to pinch myself every day. I've got to work with Ben over the years, Bob Cabral, Jeff Mongahas, David Ramey, Mary Edwards. It's just been fantastic, and these are all folks that I've admired from afar, and now I'm working with them, selling them grapes, and I'm just a farm kid, I really am.
The secret is, though, you're not just working with them. Everybody does become connected and friends and neighbors, and it really is a friendship, and that is. It is amazing. You don't find that in multiple other wineries. Well, we are hilarious because we're at 41 minutes, so. We're over time. Right? No, we're gonna have to have you back because this was fun, and we've got so much going on at the winery. Of course, again, we are open without a doubt for tastings. Come visit. The weather is not. He may have scared you because you're right. There was frost at 12:30 in the morning the other day, and he had to get up and put his fans on. But we're all sleeping at that point. Weather is becoming beautiful. Bud break is happening. Season is happening. You're going to start seeing things happening in the vineyard, which is always fascinating and fun. But if you can't come visit us yet, don't worry. We got virtual stuff. We have, oh my gosh, Riedel seminar next week. We have a trivia night we're doing. We've got wine and salumi with Journeyman Meats out of Healdsburg. We have another wine, cheese, and chocolate because personally I can't get enough of those. We've got unboxing and uncorking. If you are wine club members, we're going to be on a Zoom. Ben and I will be drinking through all the wines in the spring release, April 6th, April 11th, free to club members. Not a club member? Join, get the wine, and join us and drink. We only open 3 tonight. We'll be opening 5 those nights. Curbside pickup, 27th, 28th. At the winery, come pick up your wine. We've got Wine Love going on this weekend, which is a wine road thing. Stuff is happening. The world is opening back up. Things are kind of coming back to normal. 1 year, we're all here. We're all still surviving. And actually, more importantly, cheers. Because this helped me get.
Kristen, thanks so much. This has been a blast. The wines are great. My gosh, we didn't talk about the 777. It's fantastic. I'm getting strawberry. There's some strawberry there. Beautiful.
I am getting the strawberry too. I'll have to retaste the raspberry. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Ron, Wendy, Jennifer, Craig, you guys are all, Crystal, you guys are all great. Thanks for joining. And John, again, thank you. Let's do dinner again soon because that was fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, and hopefully, great to see you guys. And it's gonna warm up. It's cold this week. It's warming up next week. So, boy, if you can get up and visit us, it's great. It's beautiful up here right now. So
yes, come on out. Sláinte. Sláinte means health. Cheers in Irish, because I'm also an Irish ag major. Sláinte.
All right, cheers. All right, take care. Thanks. Bye bye.